The Galaxy A50s just launched a couple of days back, and it starts at Rs 23,000. It competes with phones like the Redmi K20, the Vivo V15 Pro, Oppo F11 Pro, and its very own Galaxy M40. The one thing that you can't miss about the Galaxy A50s is its beautiful, colorful, prism-like 3D back, and we'll talk more about that right after the unboxing. So that's the A50s box, and I've got the top variant, which is 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. It's reassuring that Samsung has put an Exynos 9611 octa-core processor, which is pretty good for a phone priced at 23,000. And it does come with a 48 megapixel camera, and we'll talk more about that right after the unboxing. And there's the Galaxy A50s, guys. First impression, I love the back. It's really good looking, and now I know why it's called Prism Crush Black. It's because of the prism effect. It refracts light, I guess, in a way that you can see all colors. It's very subtle, it's not at all loud, and I really love it. But let's get back to it a little later. And then you've got the 15 watt adaptive fast charger. It's not the 25 watt charger that you get with the Note 10. Earphones right in the box. That's great. So you've got the 3.5mm headphone jack, and you get a Type-C cable. Then there might be a rubber case that we're still missing, which should be in this. There's the ejection pin right there, and you do get the rubber casing. It's a transparent casing. Let's get rid of the documentation, and there's the rubber casing. Now, one question might be that if I put this on the device, would it reduce the colorful reflection that you get off the back of the device? Well, let's just try it on, and actually it's still pretty much there. Yeah, there's some reflection that's coming off the rubber casing, but otherwise it's there. And now let's talk about the back of the device a little bit more in detail. It is the most good looking feature of this phone, and it only reflects in this middle area, which actually makes it even more unique, and it's just very attractive. And one of the reasons could very easily be that it's a very simple geometric pattern, and that's why it looks so minimal and classy. The phone is decently wide. It's not too much, not too less, but not exactly very easy to use with just one hand. You'll have to stretch a bit and manage. The phone does feel slightly on the heavier side, but that's also because of the 4000 mAh battery. You do get the Type-C port, and there is the headphone jack as well. The material feels like polycarbonate and feels pretty durable, but it doesn't seem like it would get scratched very easily. Anyway, I highly recommend that you put on the rubber casing for maximum protection. And now let's talk about the display. It's a 6.4-inch large screen using Super AMOLED technology, which undoubtedly is the best kind of display that's out there. Deep blacks, punchy colors, and sufficiently bright for outdoor visibility. The bezels on the side are fine, but the chin at the bottom is quite thick, and that's something Samsung could have shaved off to make the display look even better. The top bezel, it's quite thin, and there's a U-shaped notch that packs the 32 megapixel front-facing camera. Overall, it's a pretty good screen. It's a Samsung display, and with AMOLED, they've just been nailing the market, especially in the display segment. So whether it's watching movies or whether it's playing high-definition games, the screen is not going to disappoint you. And if you're someone who commutes and is in outdoor sunlight, even then you'll have absolutely no issues. Talking about the software, it's got Android 9 Pie and is running One UI. There are a couple of preloaded apps like, some Samsung native tools, which are actually quite useful. You obviously get the whole Google suite of apps, and there are some Microsoft apps. There are some more preloaded apps like Booking.com, Daily Hunt, and Hello, but all of these can be uninstalled, so go ahead if you want to do that. It also comes with Bixby, and I don't think it's just the Bixby Home, it's the Bixby Voice also, which you can just call by long pressing the lock button. But it's default set to Bixby on long pressing, and to shut down you'll have to go in the notification panel. But you can change that by going into side key settings and changing the setting to power off menu. And now when you long press, that's what you'll get. And here's a snapshot of all the quick settings that you get access to, which kind of tells you what all features are present in the phone. Happy to see Dolby Atmos, but it only works with headphones connected. There's always on display, which is default set to tap to show, but just change that to show always because I just think it's better to be able to glance the time, the date, and the notifications. And of course, there is night mode to make everything dark, including some native apps like Phone Dialer, Gallery, Calendar, and so on. And I'm quite surprised to say there's link to Windows, which actually came with the Galaxy Note 10. It allows you to, access your phone using your Windows machine. It's really easy to set up and to use. There's an optical fingerprint sensor, which just about works fine, and there's face unlock. It's not the fastest face unlock, but it works pretty well, and it's not inaccurate is all I can say. Coming to performance, it's a decent performer. It's not going to be nearly as fast as a device like the OnePlus 7, but while you're using it, you won't really feel like it's a slow device either. It's somewhere between a mid-range device and a OnePlus 7, just like its price point, and as you can see in the list here. The benchmark score is not the best way to assess the performance, but it's still somewhat of an indicator. But let's just play a few high-definition games and see how the phone holds that out. Now, when I launched the Asphalt 9 the first time, it took quite a bit of time, but the second time launching was not that bad. But while I'm playing the game, I'm being able to do this without any hiccups, really good quality graphics, very responsive touch, and I don't feel any kind of lag. Graphics are running smoothly and I don't feel any rise in temperature either. Moving on to PUBG, again, the first time loading, that was quite slow, but again, once that happened, the second time opening it was quite fast. Here's the good news, the game identifies the hardware is good enough to play the game in high definition, so all the settings are on high. And here's a snapshot of the gameplay now. I actually really like how it's looking because can you see the reflection of the rocks, the pavement? It's actually quite nice. All the shadows, if you see, they look fabulous. It's a really good job. And just look at the way that light is falling on the rocks and that beautiful gradient that gets created. It's actually pretty good. And now on to the real gameplay. First thing, the screen is really good. It's large, it's got this immersive feeling to it. The speakers are also quite nice. So I'm really enjoying playing this game here. And it's got a game booster which kind of optimizes the resources of the phone and allocates all of it really well to the game so that you get the most seamless gaming experience, whether online or offline. And finally, coming to the camera, it's got a triple camera setup with the primary lens shooting at 48 megapixel, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, and a 5 megapixel depth sensor for those shots with beautiful blurred backgrounds. By default, the camera is set to 12 megapixels, and here are some samples that I took. All of these are available for download, so do download them and see it for yourself and see if you really like the photos. But as per me, I think they do a decent job. It's not too good, it's not too bad either. But you can always switch to 48 megapixels. So go into your camera, tap on the aspect ratio setting, and over there's a setting called 3:4H, which means high, and that's actually 48 megapixel. To be honest, I don't see a huge difference between the two. The only thing with 48 megapixel photo is that you can edit it more and not lose a lot of information. But the 12 megapixel photo has a better dynamic range. Next is to access that 5 megapixel depth sensor, and to do that you need to go into live focus mode. And it does a pretty standard job, so it blurs the background at a pretty decent level, and you can keep changing that. So if you want more blur, you can do that by going into the gallery. And I think it does a pretty standard job. It's good actually, and the blurring is quite accurate. So really nice, and again, download these and figure it out yourself. And here are some samples to compare regular photos with ultra-wide photos that the 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens can. And guys, I have to say, the 8 megapixel ultra-wide lens, and you know what? It actually does a better job than the regular lens. I'm not sure if that's a software issue, but hopefully Samsung should fix that with the next update. But yeah, the 8 megapixel ultra-wide is doing better, and you can clearly see the difference. So this photo taken using regular lens at 12 megapixel, and then boom, that's the photo, the same spot using the ultra-wide lens. And quickly jumping into the camera app and showing you the couple of modes that are there. So there's a scene optimizer, there is video mode, you can switch between regular lens, and you can also take ultra-wide videos. So that's pretty cool. There's also steady shot, which came with the Galaxy S10. There's super slow-mo, there's slow-mo, and there's hyperlapse. So overall, I think the Galaxy A50s is a pretty good looking device in this price range. For me, it's probably the best looking. I love the sophisticated look, it's premium, it's classy, and it's not at all loud. Love that effect. Pretty decent performance, it can play Asphalt and PUBG in high definition. That pretty much takes care of what I do. It's got an all-day 4000 mAh battery, really good display, it's Super AMOLED, 6.4 inches of it, so watching videos, movies, all good. The camera, however, it needs a software update to fix a couple of issues, I feel, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So hope you enjoyed this, guys. Any questions? Leave them in the comment section below.